Hi, how are you, young readers and our language enthusiasts? I hope you're doing well and you're doing good, okay, for this week. Okay, so we're going to have our new lesson for English 5 for quarter 1, week 4. And we're going to talk about predicting characters' possible decisions or actions, drawing conclusions from story, expressing conclusions, and prediction. So for this week, we're going to be fortune tellers. We're going to predict what will happen next or what might be the next move of the character in the story. Okay, and we're going to draw conclusions out from their decisions, and that's it. Okay, so we're going to study their actions, their characteristics, their emotions, and predict what will happen next. All right, so we have our learning goals, making predictions and drawing conclusions. So I will understand how to predict characters' possible decisions or actions. So you're going to look beyond, okay, their minds. Okay, what's behind their brain? Ano ba yung iniisip nila? So if you're on the shoes of the character, what would be your decision if you were the character? And then draw conclusions from story events and character interactions. And I will be able to express conclusions and predictions in a culturally and gender sensitive and age appropriate manner. Okay, let's have our day 1. Okay, so we have here, guess what? You're going to listen to the title of the book, then look at the pictures to guess what we'll see inside, or what do you think you're going to find inside the book. So have the first one, where did all the fireflies go? And the other one is the white shoes. Okay, so first let's have the first book, first title. What do you think is the story about? And what do you think will you see inside the book? Okay, so where did all the fireflies go is a children's book that raises environmental awareness and emphasizes nature conservation. It tells the story of a child about a story of a child who is curious about the disappearance of fireflies, learning how human actions like pollution and deforestation impact the environment. The book inspires readers to care for nature and take simple actions to restore the beauty of fireflies and wildlife, combining wonder and science in an accessible way for young readers. Now let's have The White Shoes. Okay, The White Shoes by Grace D. Chong, and it is illustrated by Sergio Bomate III. Is a short children's story that won first prize in the short story for children category of the 2011 Don Carlos Palanca Awards. So this is one of the most prestigious award-giving body if you want to be known as a writer. Okay? So kung ikaw ay nag-aspire na maging manunulat, it might be in English or it may be in Filipino, ito yung isa sa mga parang baseline nila. Kumbaga, kailangan manalo ka sa Palanca. Once na ikaw ay awardee ng Don Carlos Palanca Awards, kumbaga, ito yung nagbibigay ng, ito yung pinaka-reward mo as a writer. No? Ito yung, kumbaga, sa atin, para sa akin, I don't know if this is the one, but I think this is one of the most prestigious talaga. Ito yung kumbaga rank 1 na pinaka-prestigious na nagbibigay ng awards in terms of story writing. Okay? And be it fiction, non-fiction, when it comes to kumbaga pagsusulat ng maikling kwento. So kapag nanalo dito in any year at na-recognize ng Don Carlos Palanca Awards, nasa ibang level, nasa elite level of writers ka, nandoon. Okay, so going back to The White Shoes, it's a story, okay, which revolves around a mysterious gift giver, Mrs. Eva Cruz, also known as Mrs. Shoes, who is known for always giving away shoes. As the story unfolds and we discover why she only gives shoes, readers are gently led to touching lesson about gratitude and appreciating what is given to us, even if it seems small or unusual. So it teaches us how to be grateful. Okay? In short, it's a heartwarming story that teaches the value of being thankful and content with what you have, wrapped in a simple yet meaningful narrative. Okay, so those, I think these two books are worth our time. Okay, if you have time, so go find these books, and I think it will give us a very good lesson. Okay, we can learn a lot from these books. Okay, so now after this, okay, let's have our next activity. We have activity 1. We are going to read the following scenarios. Determine what event is likely to occur next. Explain your answer using the textual evidence. Okay, so during a camping trip, Christy and Joel find themselves lost in the forest after straying from the designated trail. Christy, an experienced hiker, reassures Joel that she knows the way back to the campsite. However, as dusk approaches, they realize they have been walking in circles. Ibig sabihin, paikot-ikot lang sila doon sa area. What event is most likely to occur next? So, Christy might reluctantly admits that they are lost and suggests finding a clearing to set up a camp for the night. Joel, feeling frustrated and anxious, agrees to the plan but secretly worries about their safety in the forest. Okay, so andun yung feelings nila, no? Kumbaga, naibigay natin ano kaya yung naiisip nila at ano kaya yung mangyayari na susunod. And in this scenario, no, Christy is very confident, 'di ba, na makakabalik sila sa campsite. But it turns out na paikot-ikot lang sila. So what do we think will happen next? So Christy will what? Okay, nahihiya man siya pero she needs to admit na nawawala sila and suggest finding a camp or clearing a camp to set up, no, for the night. Doon muna magpapalipas ng gabi. And of course, si Joel, 'di ba, yung feeling of being so frustrated and anxious kasi for all he know, he trusted Christy that she knows how to go back to the campsite, but she failed to do so. And of course, yung takot na mawala sila at nandoon sila sa kalagitnaan ng forest or gubat. Okay, so next scenario we have here. At a board game night, Mary and Ross playfully compete in a game of strategy and skill. As the game progresses, tension builds between them, fueled by playful taunts and strategic moves. What event is most likely to occur next? So Mary, determined to win, devises a risky but clever strategy to outmaneuver Ross and secure victory. While Ross, on the other hand, impressed by Mary's ability, responds with a bold counter move, setting the stage for a thrilling showdown between them. Next, we have, during a school field trip to the zoo, Sophia and Liam spot a mischievous monkey swinging from tree to tree in the primate exhibit. The monkey seems to be eyeing the banana snacks in Sophia's backpack, much to her amusement and Liam's concern. What event is most likely to occur next? Okay, Sophia and Liam giggle as they watch the monkey's antics, amused by its playful antics and curiosity. Now, Sophia offers the monkey a banana snack from her backpack, causing it to rush closer in excitement, much to Liam's surprise and amusement. Okay, we have here our next scenario. During a craft session, Olivia and Ethan are making friendship bracelets for each other. As they weave colorful threads together, they discuss their favorite colors and designs, sharing stories of friendship and laughter. What event is most likely to occur? Olivia and Ethan proudly show off their finished friendship bracelets, exchanging them as symbols of their bond. They promise to wear them every day as a reminder of their special friendship. And we have our last scenario. In a classroom, Lily and Max are looking out the window during English class. They notice dark clouds gathering in the sky and few raindrops start to fall. What event is most likely to occur next? So Lily and Max excitedly whisper to each other, predicting that it is going to rain soon. They quickly gather their belongings and move away from the window to avoid getting wet when the rain starts pouring down. Okay, so now let's unlock our content vocabulary for this week. First, we have prediction. It's a statement about what you think will happen in the future. So, we all know, no, marami ang mga ganyan ngayon, marami yung nagsasabi that they can predict the future. But of course, nobody knows what will happen next. What will happen tomorrow, what will happen next week, next year, or the next 10 years. So, prediction, you're going lahat pwedeng magbigay itong mangyayari bukas. But no one can exactly tell what can really happen. So we call that prediction or predicting the outcome. Conclusion, it's the opinion or judgment you have after considering all the information about something. So drawing conclusions, so after studying, for example, the characters in a story, character 1 having this kind of characteristics, having this kind of emotions, this kind of motives, and character 2 has his own distinct characteristics and have his own emotions. Then after comparing and studying, now for perhaps the director of the story or the writer might have a conclusion. So what might be the ending of the story, or ano ba yung magandang wakas para sa ganitong klase ng mga characters. It's like a judgment or opinion that you have after considering all the information about something. Nilatag mo lahat. It's like a judge. Nilatag mo lahat ng ebidensya, pinakinggan mo both sides. Now, what will be the conclusion or what will be the final judgment of the case? Or in our topic, what will be the final or the end of the story? Textual evidence, proof from a text in order to prove that information is true and accurate. So, for example, when we say character 1 is very loving and thoughtful. Now, how can you prove that? So, by showing textual evidence based on the story. So, you're going to pick out a text, a statement directly coming from the story to prove that this character is loving and thoughtful. Monster, an imaginary frightening creature, especially one that is large and strange. A tale, a story, especially one that might be invented or difficult to believe. So parang ating mga fairy tales. Okay? So parang they are all hard to believe kasi may mga magic, di ba? Laging may Prince Charming, may princess. Okay? Si Prince, lagi niyang isi-save si princess. That might be difficult to believe during these days. Okay. For day 2, let's have our story. Okay. And while having our story, we are going to ask, I'm going to ask, what do you think will happen next? And what could be the possible textual evidence that you can get from the story to prove, okay, yung iyong prediction, okay, from the story. This story is entitled The Loving Monster, a Heartwarming Tale by Mary Ross T. Castañares. Okay, so one morning the child woke up from his long sleep because of the hammering and banging on the veranda. He exited the bed, rubbed his eyes, and went downstairs to see where the sounds came from. As he neared the front door, he found his father squatting over a broken lawn mower. The boy was used to seeing things like this. His father was always fixing things. They could be a leaking roof or a broken appliance. He was a man of few words. Or maybe he was not just interested. "Good morning, father." Despite the noise in the early hour, Bastek greeted his father pleasantly. His father gave a fleeting glance up, his look uncommunicative. Before returning to his work without saying anything, Bastek sighed and went into the kitchen to prepare breakfast. His father entered the room and wiped his hands with a rag. "Eat up and get ready for school," his father responded casually. So what event is most likely to occur next, and what textual evidence can you give? Okay, so we have here an example. Baste will finish his breakfast, get dressed, and go to school, possibly still feeling a little sad or distant because of his father's lack of warmth. Okay, for the textual evidence, so we've picked up some statements from the text. So eat up and get ready for school. This line shows that the father expects Baste to prepare for for school next. His look uncommunicative, Baste sighed. So this line suggests an emotional distance between father and son, hinting that Baste might go through the day feeling unappreciated or longing for more affection. So this is an example. Okay, so what event is most likely to occur next? You're going to predict what will happen next, and then you're going to give a textual evidence, okay, based from the text itself. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so I'm just going to read the story, and then later on, okay, you can read again or sample answers for this. Actually, this is a sample on how you're going to predict, okay, what will happen next in the story, and then how to give textual evidence. So this will going to help you if you were asked to do so in the later days or later weeks on your English class. Okay, so I've put on some answers, possible answers. You can always have your own answers. Okay, this is a sample answer. Okay, and I will just going to read with and go on with the story. Okay. The child nodded, used to his father's relaxed approach. He quickly completed his meal and went upstairs to prepare for the day. As he packed his books and backpack, he felt disappointed by his father's lack of interest in him. Despite this overwhelming emotion, Baste went to school. As he entered the classroom, he noticed his teacher carrying a poster. The billboard advertised tryouts for a school play, and they were looking for cast members. Baste's eyes widened with enthusiasm as the teacher described each character in detail. The teacher described a brave and daring hero leading the group on a mission to defend a kingdom from an evil sorcerer. Baste's heart beat with anticipation as he pictured himself as the hero, carrying a sword and confronting danger head on. Okay, so what event is most likely to occur next, and give the textual evidence. As the teacher continued to describe the other characters, Baste's mind raced with ideas. There was a wise old wizard, a crafty thief, a mighty warrior, and a caring princess. Each character possessed distinct characteristics, and Baste could not wait to bring them to life on stage. The teacher encouraged students to audition for any role they were interested in, and Baste immediately decided that he wanted to play the monster, the story's central character. He spent the remainder of the day practicing his lines and honing his swordplay, hoping to please the casting directors. So what event is most likely to occur next, and give the textual evidence. When audition day arrived, Baste stood uncomfortably before the casting panel. As he delivered his words with passion and conviction, a thrill of excitement circulated through his veins. Baste was overjoyed when the casting director announced that he had been cast as the monster. The sessions were intense and challenging, but Baste embraced his role with passion and enthusiasm. He worked tirelessly on his performance, immersing himself in the play's atmosphere and bringing his character to life with each line he spoke. However, his delight quickly changed to concern when he realized that the costume required for the play was beyond his family's budget. Feeling discouraged, Baste confided in his cousin, who encouraged him to discuss his problems with his father. Baste reluctantly discussed his concerns with his father, expecting rejection or a scolding. So what event is most likely to occur next, or what do you think will happen next? And provide textual evidence. To his amazement, Baste's father listened intently but said nothing, convincing himself he could never participate in the play, and he went to sleep. That night, he could not believe what he witnessed, a large, dark shadow that resembled a monster working. It was barely a glimpse, yet it sent chills down his spine. "Who are you?" Baste yelled. "What do you want?" Baste shouted and was jolted awake by his father's hand. "Someone was on the veranda last night, father," Baste said, his eyes trying to persuade his father. His father responded indifferently. "Eat up and get ready for school." On the second night, he saw more. The head was huge, with glaring red eyes that seemed to go straight through him. He could not take his gaze away from it, even if his instincts warned him to escape. The following day, Bastet told his friend the story. That's true. I asked him what he wanted, but he just said, Bastet began preparing to imitate the beast. I am the guardian of this land, Bastet talked in a deep, rumbling voice. I protect it from those who would harm it, Bastet added. But where is it? Is it at your house right now? Can we see it? Bastet's friend said, still in astonishment. Bastet sighed and remarked, I didn't see him when I woke up this morning. Maybe because it was just a dream. Bastet's friend said, laughing at him. Bastet was slightly annoyed by his friend since he did not trust his stories, but perhaps he was simply dreaming. Bastet was slightly annoyed, okay? For the third time, he glimpsed its body. It was big and muscular, with sharp claws capable of tearing through anything in its path. He felt a sense of horror sweep over him as he understood how powerful this thing was. But he remembered what it had said about his noble quest. But why do you appear so frightening? Why do you scare people away? Bastet enthusiastically asked the creature. Bastet, these are not your lines. You are daydreaming again. His teacher observed, patting his shoulder. They were practicing for the play. By the fourth night, he noticed it moving. It was slowly and systematic, and each stride caused tremors. He could hear its heavy breathing like a beast about to pounce on its prey. No, you're not real. Stop scaring me, Bastet murmured to himself before closing his eyes and falling asleep. As time passed, the monster became more prominent in his memory. He understood that he needed to act quickly before it was too late. But while he stood there watching the monster working in the shadows, he could not help but worry if it was genuinely protecting them or if it would eat them soon. But he knew he could not beat it. He awoke one morning and blinked his eyes several times, attempting to make sense of what he had seen. A creature stood before him. Its sharp teeth glinted in the dawn light, and its claws were dangerous. He screamed, his heart racing in his chest. But then he spotted his father. He was holding the creature with amusement on his face. What are you doing, father? You scared me half to death, screamed the child, relief washing over him as he grasped the truth. His father chuckled slightly but did not want to cross his emotions as he placed down the monster costume. His father responded casually, Eat up and get ready for school. We will bring your costume for your dress rehearsal. His father smiled and added, Baste had no idea that the shadow he saw was his father, who was working feverishly on his play costume. Night after night, Baste's father worked hard, cutting and sewing fabric to bring the monster man to life. 2 weeks before the play, Baste was astounded to see the costume his father had mightily made for him. With tears in his eyes, Baste hugged his father warmly, moved by the act of love and sacrifice. Finally, the day of the performance came. As Baste waited backstage in his homemade outfit, he experienced a wave of confidence and gratitude. As the curtains were drawn back, Baste entered the stage, his eyes wide with astonishment. The set was a lovely forest, with shimmering lights and vibrant flowers covering the stage. Baste took a big breath and started reciting his lines. His voice loud and clear, the story of the loving monster unfolded in front of the audience, telling of friendship and bravery. Baste's performance was captivating. His movements were graceful and his expressions were convincing. The audience was intrigued and hung on his every word. The play was a huge success, with laughter, acclaim, and steadfast support from his family and community. Baste's heart swelled with pride as he played the role of the loving monster, bringing delight to everyone who watched. As a result, the story of the loving monster became a village legend, representing resilience, kindness, and the power of love. Baste discovered that sometimes the greatest monsters are not those we fear, but those who love us unconditionally and support us through life's difficulties. As the performance ended, Baste realized he would always have a loving monster leading him through life's ups and downs. And full of gratitude, Baste said silent thank you to his father, the real hero of his narrative. Oh, what a touching story. All right, it's day 3, so it's time for you to we have here some statements. You're going to answer it and then give the textual evidence. So you're going to start your answer by saying, I believe that. Okay, so the statement would start that way. Okay, so we have here, okay, number 1 is missing, but don't worry, we have our answers at the end of this video. So stay tuned. Okay, for day 4, let's have your takeaways from this lesson. So draw a symbol that would reflect your takeaways on the lesson and the story you read. Write 3 sentences explaining your drawing. Okay, and let's have our formative assessment. Okay, what if? Okay, read the following questions and answer them based on your predictions. All right, and that ends our lesson for this week. I hope you enjoyed our lesson and you were touched, okay, by the story. It's really a heartwarming story, okay, of a child who felt like his father doesn't care about him, okay. It's very eye-opening to some who feels the same as the character in the story. So thank you for listening. I hope you've had a blast, okay, for this lesson, and you can always ask questions, okay. You can type your questions on the comment section, or you can directly ask your teacher for some clarification regarding our lesson. So thank you always for being with me. I hope to be with you again, and please be with me next week. I'm teacher Isa. Thank you and bye bye.